Everyone, I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing after that for the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be led by Alderman at Large George Payne.
Heavenly Father, we come before you once again. Thanking you for your mercies and grace, Lord. Lord, we ask you to be with the people of Florida, Lord. Both the people who've been devastated by the hurricane and the folks that are serving those people, Lord. I just pray blessings upon them, Lord. Lord, we thank you for being here amongst us in this meeting, Lord. I pray that you'd give us wisdom to make decisions that you like. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes for the August 15 meeting and the special meeting on August 17.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our budget hearing for proposed fiscal year 24 spending and tax levy. To start us off, Edie, will you come forward? Edie McElwain is our Director of Finance.
We have presented you with a budget, and in it, we have, so since 2009 we have seen perpetual growth up until 2020, which of course COVID kind of knocked everything back, but 21 through 23 we saw that uptick. Our population continues to increase and our unemployment has been low perpetually over the last 10 years. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, our median estimated household income from 2017 to 21 was $67,000, and the median value of the owner-occupied homes in the same time period is $169,800. You can see how much our budget will grow from 23 to 24. And we'll go through what is causing that increase through the next slides. Some highlights of our 24 budget. Our sales tax is going to increase with the relief of the debt from the Tanger outlet. We will start receiving that sales tax money. 24 will be the first full year. We had an increase in property tax assessments. We also had an increase in the Mississippi Infrastructure Modernization Act funds. And tourism sales tax has seen a rise also. We are also this year going to continue using some of our American Recovery Protection Act funds for specific purposes that you have approved. And here you can see the growth in our monthly sales tax revenue over the last 10 years. And there's that dip in 2020, and then it continues to increase. You can also see our increase in assessed value, the increase and compared to the other municipalities in our county. Some other highlights of our 24 budget, there is a property tax increase of 3.05 mils. There are no utility rate increases and no sanitation rate increases. We did increase utility rates mid-year this past year to help pay for some aging infrastructure and some other updates. Here you can see that we have not had a millage rate increase since 2009, 9,
Six.
sorry, 6. And then it went down maybe 1 mil in 2009. That line is, I probably should cut that down. On this next slide, you can see that we use 18% of our millage rate for debt service, and 82% of it is allocated to the general fund. And here is a slide that shows where we are in comparison with the other municipalities in our county, as well as the county and the school district. With the increase, we will still be below the county, Horn Lake, and DeSoto County school districts. Some of the items that we will be spending our funds on are public safety, including 10 new police officers, 12 new vehicles, and 3 new fire captains. We will be increasing our street resurfacing. We'll also be replacing old equipment and purchasing a few new pieces to help maintain our infrastructure. We also have some addition of personnel in several departments for the increase in workload in these departments. We'll have improvements in the park and rec amenities, including equipment of neighborhood parks, and then we will also use it to be maintaining and improving public infrastructure. If you look here, our public safety, our total general fund millage revenue is $28.3 million, and our total public safety expenditures are $36 million. So we spend quite a bit on public safety every year. Our major capital improvements, we will continue with our Getwell Road widening project, construction of Fire Station 5. We'll have $6.5 million for our annual road overlay program. We have a few large drainage improvement projects that we have started and will continue on, and then our neighborhood parks improvements will continue. Here you can see the tourism tax. It continues to increase. Our food business is booming in Southaven. 2018 there was a dip because that was the year that it had to go back to Jackson for approval. This money from the tourism tax has been used to improve many of our parks amenities. We are collecting enough money from this tax to make many much needed repairs and improvements. Our plan includes improvements to the neighborhood parks, some pretty significant improvements, and 8 additional tennis courts and other maintenance and improvements. Our utility fund provides funding for the operation of the city's water and sewer systems. These funds are provided through user fees, and our sanitation funds are also provided through user fees. We continue to place new water wells and water lines to increase capacity throughout our city. And as you can see, our water rates are $2.89 per 748 gallons. Our sewer rates are $2.96 per 748 gallons, and sanitation is $12 per month, and recycling is $6.53. Any questions? That's all.
How much
Okay.
debt's rolling off next year?
How much what?
debt is rolling off next year? Ballpark, I don't need an exact figure.
$600,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. And so we've had numerous budget workshops. Just to kind of recap some of our other discussions, and for those who may not have been at the other meetings or tuned into that, we've combed through this budget heavily. As Edie addressed, there's not been a millage increase since 2006 in this city. This is my 11th budget as mayor. I've operated 10 budgets prior to this one effectively and efficiently with no millage increase. So when we started looking at the impacts of inflation on all the city services, it was very disturbing. We've been very successful economically, as Edie has shown. Our sales tax revenues, we've been able to fund a lot of the things that we've been able to fund that with sales tax growth. But it's dangerous and not financially smart to rely on that indefinitely, because there's no guarantees of that in the future. We face market changes just like any other city. So we've been able to do this at this time. The inflation has wreaked havoc on our budget on every line, and so we've been able to meet the needs of the city services, the request that each department has requested. We've been able to do that. But the two things that this budget boils down to are our two biggest expenses. The number one expense in this city is the police budget. And then the biggest, besides payroll, the number one, the largest budget line is street resurfacing. So all the other things, we've talked about going in and, denying this request for a piece of equipment for this new vehicle, for maybe adding one employee here and there that's extremely needed. We could comb through that and cut all that. We could. But the cost benefit of that is low. But when you start taking away key personnel, taking away key equipment, it has a direct impact on the services that we provide our citizens. So the way you move the needle the most is you go to your biggest items, and the biggest one is police. And I don't have to keep talking about this. Y'all know in the last few weeks you've seen me talk about this on every stage possible. Let me just go ahead and tell you, for everybody listening, things have changed in Southaven, Mississippi. And the reason they've changed is there's a lot of societal factors that are not directly related to one thing or another. It's a multifactorial issue. But crime is different in our world. The younger generation of criminals are different. And our police, don't misunderstand me, our police are doing an incredible job. We are treading water. The statistics are flat. I know some people don't believe that, but we have our police chief in the room. He can testify to that. We are holding the line. We're doing an incredible job. But what we've got to look at is the trends of the future. We've got to pay attention to what's going on in Memphis, Tennessee. It's no secret we've been fighting Memphis crime for 4 decades. Okay, it's nothing new, but it's different now. And what is going to happen in the future, you have a DA that's been known to have a liberal mentality about crimes and trying to rehabilitate criminals instead of locking them up. And so when repeat offenders go back on the streets, they come to Southaven too. So we've got to pay attention to that. The other thing is, and what prompted Operation Close the Door, is reading the police reports. I've been reading police reports for 10 years now. I've lived in this city since I was moved here when I was a year old in 1968. I've seen a lot of changes in this city, but I can tell you that things are different in the last 2 years. There are things that we're seeing now, the disrespect of our police. We have people that are running. When we get behind them now, we've always had some that want to flee, but it's to a different level now. So what our plan is now is to secure that state line. And I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be dramatic with you tonight, but I'm going to tell you the truth. If we don't secure that state line, you're probably not going to want to live in Southaven in 5-7 years. So I promise the people of this city that I would 100% of the time do what I think is best for this city, not what's best for Musselwhite's political career. And I'm proving that to you tonight, because I don't want to be a part of it. I want to be like every other politician. I want to have a record, and I want to be able to walk out of here and say I've never been a part of a millage increase in Southaven. I'd love to do that. But I can't look myself in the mirror when I'm shaving tomorrow and know that I did the right thing by the people of this city. We have got, it's imperative, we have got to beef up the state line. We've got to start fighting crime in a different way in this city, and that's got to happen. And so there's no way I can't perform mathematical miracles. I would love to do that, but the inflationary pressures that are on this budget, when you look at the police needs, something's got to give. You know, you got to, when you pull the string one way, when the seesaw goes down on one side, it goes up on the other. So you gotta find a way to balance it. So there's two things that we discussed. I proposed 3 balanced budgets to this board that had no millage increase. But with that, you got to do one thing. You either got to cut the police growth or you got to cut the street budget. And I can tell you right now, we're going to put it. Can we put that up there, the streets? And I know people don't see this, so I want everybody to take a good look at this. So in 2014, when I was in my first year of serving as mayor, I went to our public works director and I asked them where the street list was. Like, where is the list of the streets and when they've last been resurfaced, so I'll know how to plan for the future. And they looked at me like I had 2 heads. They said, well, we don't have a list like that. I said, well, you don't have a list that says what streets are in the worst condition, what streets need to be prioritized and paid for now, resurfaced now? They said, no, we just pave streets as people told us to pave the streets. And so, again, I thought that was extremely important that we have a record, so we did that. So in 2015, all the streets since 2015 are on this spreadsheet. And it tells you the year that they were resurfaced, how much it cost. So every single penny that we spent on street resurfacing since 2015 is accounted for in this spreadsheet. So the reason I want to bring this back up tonight, as I told the board, the seesaw goes up on one side. We could fund police. But in order to do that, we got to cut the streets. And so when you start cutting the street budget, let me tell you what happens. And I'm not the engineer's in the room, but I've learned enough about it over the last 10 years, I can tell you. Weather wreaks havoc on streets. So if you have a street, we rate them with 4 different categories. They're fair, critical, lost, critical, fair, and good. So you can see most of these streets, if you look at the middle column, you're going to see critical or fair critical. That means that some of the streets okay, but it has some real critical, horrible conditions in some spots. So whatever we cut from this budget, that street next year is not going to be fair anymore. It's not going to be good. 1 year on a lot of them is going to change the condition, which drives up the cost. So each year that you wait to resurface a street, the cost is going up. So it's imperative that we don't create a mountain of a problem by bumping streets back. So this budget, let's go down to the bottom, please. So you look at the bottom, in FY23, we paved $6,371,201 of streets. And then if you look at FY24, please scroll down to the bottom. These are all the streets that are being evaluated by engineers now to put the exact price tag on what it's going to cost to resurface them. And then we're going to take that after the budget's set and we're going to make adjustments so it fits the budget that this board sets. But right now, for me to sleep well at night, and for the reasons that I just told you, we need to be paving 6,967,000 streets this year. And if you go into 25, scroll down to 25 all the way down. And the ones that are in FY25, that's 2 budget years away. We've already looked at these and analyzed them, and you'll see we have critical streets on the FY25 list. And so there's 7,065,000 already on the FY25 list. I started FY20. I normally don't do that because I just do it in years of service because we could have a different mayor, different board. But I went ahead just to help the next person. In FY26, I already started listing and I already have streets on there that need to be done now, but they're not going to happen until FY26. So the reason I show that to everyone tonight is to show you the magnitude of waiting. If you wait on your streets and you don't fund your streets properly, it's inefficient use of money because the cost is going up on the streets the years that you wait. I'm comfortable if we have a budget of about $7 million a year, I'm comfortable that we can stay on top of the streets. And like I said, I didn't go into finish FY26, but I believe at about $7 million, we can stay comfortable in keeping our streets in good condition. Now, I'm not going to go, I know we're about to have a budget hearing. I'm not going to talk all night about this. The only thing I will tell you is that everything works together in a city. Every department that we have are like spokes on a wheel. If you break one of those spokes, it's going to cause the wheel to be compromised, and it's going to affect all the other departments. So when you don't pave your streets right, not only is it inconvenient for the people trying to drive on them, it attracts crime. When criminals, and we can bring psychologists after psychologists in here, when criminals come into an area and they look at a city that's well maintained, they make a first impression just like you do when you go to a new city. When they come in, and most people will tell you, when you come into Southaven, you can tell the streets, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it, our streets are in better condition than our neighboring cities. And so when you come in there, it sends that message that we care. And if you don't pave your streets, and your streets are falling apart, among other things, it sends that message to criminals, hey, this is a good place for us. It's a good place for us to stay. So it's like spokes on a wheel. Everything goes together. But back to my seesaw example. I could back up, and like I said, I presented 3 budgets to this board with no millage increase. And we can do that. If this board says tonight or before September 12, if they say, hey, what, I've changed my mind, I don't want to do this, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. We'll go back. However, I'm not going to let anybody leave this room tonight misinformed, and this board knows that I've informed them. If you don't adjust the millage rate, you are sacrificing either police or streets. You got to move one or the other. And so the budget that Edie presented is one that accomplishes all the goals. It funds Operation Close the Door. It puts additional officers on the street to protect us from the Memphis Challenge. Cuts down on the police chases. Instead of chasing them, we're there waiting on them. So everybody's welcome to come in the entrance to the city. But if you want to commit a crime and run, we're going to close the exit door on you. And that's what we're already doing. We've had to reallocate officers there. So we've got to fill those spots to be able to serve all the purposes that our police do in this city. But the proposed budget meets the needs of the police. It gives a growth of 10 new officers. And it also puts the street budget at $6.5 million. Now, you're going to say, well, you just told me we need 7, and we do, but we also have to balance the budget. And so we got to cut somewhere. So this will give us 6.5, which is in striking distance of where we should be. And then next year we can reevaluate and try to get that a little bit higher next year. But that's what the budget is. I just want everyone to know that I can tell you right now, I know all these board members. I know that no one up here came to any of the budget workshops without being sensitive to the citizens and trying to preserve not adjusting the millage rate. Because like I said, most of the people have been up here at the same time I have. We've done 10 prior budgets with no millage increase. The millage has not been adjusted in 18 years in this city. Every other city in DeSoto County has taken tax increases since 2006. So the way we've been able to do it is because of our sales tax growth. But this year we've come to a situation with inflation and our needs to fund police heavier. We got to do it to meet all the needs. Just to put a couple other things in perspective, and then we'll open up the floor for discussion. Our police budget in 2019 was $12,107,758. Excuse me. Our budget this year proposed is $19,367,256. That's a 60% increase in the police budget. Where are you seeing that around the United States of America? You see all this BS around the country, people cutting, defunding police, the craziest stuff you've ever heard of. Let me tell you something. Any sensible person could have, 3 years ago, told any city in America, you start defunding the police and there goes your city. You cannot do that. And we've not done this in Southaven. The ridiculous things you've seen on the news, we don't do that. Just the opposite. We know that in a changing world, we've got to grow our police count. And especially Memphis, which is one of the most deadly cities in America. And so here we are right on the border. We got to do that. So we've increased funding in the last 5 years, 60% for our police. We've raised our officer count from 119 to 158 just in the last 5 years. And Chief Moore has done an incredible job. Chief Moore came in here in 2019. We've been trying to grow police officers since about 2015. And so I had 3 budgets where we had 10 to 15 police officers in the budget that we couldn't fill the position because we couldn't recruit them and couldn't get them here. And so finally Chief Moore comes in. He thinks outside the box. We got to fill them. I mean, what do we got to do? We got to, adjust standards a little bit. Whatever we got to do, we got to have boots on the ground. We got to fill these spots. So he's done an incredible job with that. But we've had to. We've got to do that, and we got to continue growing officer count for the future of Southaven. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up by just saying, we've fought. I don't want to raise millage either. And if this board decides, hey, look, we don't want to raise millage, like I told them in our budget workshop, I'm going to go to work with this budget, and I'm going to work as hard as I can. My team's going to work as hard as I can with the budget, and we're going to do everything we can with what's given to us. But I owe it to the people of the city to tell you that I study this budget. I've been studying it for 10 years, and no disrespect to anybody because it's my job, I should. I know this budget better than any person in this city, and I know the operations of this city better than any other person in this city. I know where we cannot afford to cut. And I'm telling you, if you start cutting police and streets, the city's going to pay for that down the road. So that's where we are. And so at this point, what I would like to do, we're going to open up, invite anyone that wants to speak. It's a public hearing. You're welcome to come speak. Before we do that, just to be fair with everybody, I want the board to tell me, do y'all want to allow, we need to set a certain time just so we can, have a meeting that goes on pace. And we make sure everybody's got a chance to speak. So we have normally done 3 minutes, but y'all tell me, what do y'all, somebody make a motion what you want it to be.
Okay with 5.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to make it 5 minutes from
I'll
Alderman.
second 5.
Okay, got a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Jerome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Okay, that motion carries. So we're going to allow anyone that wants to speak. You got 5 minutes, and we'll answer any question. We've got the budget here. We can go any line you want to talk about. So whatever question you have, I want you to leave here knowing that you've had every opportunity to ask whatever you want to ask or make any statements you want to ask. The only thing I will tell you is we're going to keep it respectful. I'm going to respect you, and you're going to respect me, or else you're going to leave the meeting. So we're going to handle it in a professional and courteous manner. So now is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Gallagher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. If anyone would like to speak, please come to the podium, say your name, and tell us where you live, or tell us at least which street. To be efficient and fair to the taxpayers of Southaven, this is for people who live in Southaven. So.
Evening.
Good evening.
How you doing? Norm Arndt, Ward 3. I live on Stony Creek Cove off of Clarington. And if you can't hear me, let me know.
It's good.
I would like to, since I have 5 minutes, can we add one more thing to the budget and make it so people online can hear the meeting for the love? I mean, holy smokes. And I'm not saying that, just to be funny. I got a speaker. Hold on. So anyway, no, that's
yeah.
that's
Our IT team, Michael, he says that they're having trouble hearing the meetings online. Will you address that for us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I don't watch the meetings. I've had enough by the time I go home. So.
And a perennial social media outcast also.
And we can address that since you want to bring it up. We're going to talk about the budget tonight. But if you want to talk about the budget, but we're not going to talk about social media. We've answered your question. You suggested that my police killed Ismael Lopez, which is false, and you're not going to put false information on my personal page. So let's talk about the budget, okay?
Yeah, I didn't come here to talk about that.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll discuss it. We can talk about that later. Well, maybe we can. I can't contact you on social media. Anyway, at first I wasn't gonna come here. I think everyone has a pretty good idea how they're going to vote on this. You've probably made up your minds on the issue, and me getting up here and pitching a fit isn't going to do anyone any good. But I think that I decided to come because of the last election cycle. I think, if nothing else, showed that voter apathy is a real problem in this city. It's at an all-time high. And I think it's important for people like yourselves to hear from people like me to let you know that we're still out there, and that we're listening and we're keeping watch. And I feel that, as as a conservative Republican, I feel that it's my duty to be here and just kind of, try and call to task those who want, if we want to stray from the main planks of the Republican Party. I feel it's my responsibility to air that out, to let you know how I feel about that. So I'm here to formally ask the Board of Aldermen to vote against any budget that includes a tax increase. Inflation, it's not a problem unique to government operation. We've all had to deal with inflation in our, every single person in this room has had to deal with the increased costs of things. We've had to adjust our household budgets to accommodate that. The difference between the city budget and my household budget is that I can't go to my employer and essentially hold a gun to their head and say, hey, you need to give me more money because I need to add on to my house. It's like, hey, I can make the argument that, hey, it's going to help me be a more productive employee, but I can't do that. I have to live within my means, and I have to live within the constraints that are placed upon me by the inflating dollar. So, we've all had to make cuts, maybe not go out to eat, live without certain creature comforts. So, I don't know. Again, like you said, you know the budget more than any one of us in this room. I don't know the particulars. This is the first time I'm looking at the actual numbers. It was hard for me to find really any information about it at all. That being said, I have to, and this is a genuine question. I'm questioning: does the city have a revenue issue where we need to increase millage? Because we talk about inflation increasing the cost of things. I know that inflation is going to cause sales tax revenue to go up. I know it's not going to pace the amount that the cost of other things are going to go up, but we also have, property values have outpaced inflation unbelievably. And I would think, I know that the number that was on the screen reflected the last assessment in, I believe, 2021. I don't know, I know that later on in this meeting, you'll be approving the latest assessment from the county. Have the budget forecasts been taking that new assessment into consideration? So basically, what I'm saying is the people of Southaven are going to be hit not only with that millage increase, but an additional increase because their properties are going to be worth more. So I just want that, that to me, if that's all been taken into consideration.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So
I can answer that. Yes, sir, it has.
The the effects of the tax are going to be felt by everyone, not just homeowners. If you if you're someone who owns a second house, renting it out to someone, if you're a company that owns several property pieces of property, commercial property, you're going to be passing that along to your tenants, and that trickles down. The renters are going to feel it just as much as the property owners are going to feel it. The less scrupulous property owners are going to use it as an excuse to raise rents even higher. Sorry, your rent's got to go up by $50 a month because I got to pay more taxes. Anyway, so I you see you creeping in, so I'll wrap it up. I just want to ask, if you're gonna raise taxes, just own it. Just put it proudly on your push card, put it on your mailer. Proud to raise the taxes of the city, the people of Southaven. I don't believe you tax people into prosperity. I don't think that that's ever worked. Okay, I believe in trickle-down economics. I believe in supply-side conservatism economics. I don't think this is the way to go. I think that when we have good years and the city's pulling a surplus, we never consider giving that money back. So why are we asking the citizens for more? So, but I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. I will share one thing that I failed to mention in the previously, just to give everyone a general idea. When someone talks about a tax increase, talking about being proud to put it on your push card. I've already told everybody that I don't want to do that. If I'm a selfish politician, I want to be able to say that I was never a part of that. But the answer is what I said earlier. What do you value more? Is it about your politics, or do you value the future of this city? And that's an easy decision for me. I value the future of this city, and whatever that means to my political career, I'm good with that. my promise to the people of Southaven has always been, and I've 100% of the time kept this promise since June 28 of 2013, 100% of the time, I've not backed down from a political challenge or a political threat. I've done what I thought was best for the city of Southaven. And so that's an easy decision for me. But let me point this out, what a tax mill, what this equates to for Southaven citizens, because I am very sensitive to the impact it has on all of my citizens. And Mr. Arent, you're one of my citizens, even though you and I don't agree on some things. You don't know this, and you may not believe it, but I can tell you that I look out for all my citizens. I do that. And we can talk about the other issues on a different stage. But regardless of your politics or your ideologies, I look out for every one of my citizens in the city. So the value of it's a 3.05 mil increase. And so we reached out to the tax assessor to do just what you're talking about, Mr. Arent, to find out what kind of impact is this going to have on the average citizen in our city. So the average tax increase that 3.05 mils creates is a difference of $72.45 a year. I'm going to say that again. The average impact for the average valued home in Southaven, Mississippi, a 3.05 mil increase equates to $72.45 annually. Okay, I don't know if y'all been to the grocery store lately, and I don't go to the grocery store, but I can tell you when my wife goes to the grocery store one time, we probably pay that much more in one trip to the grocery store. So just to put that in perspective with inflation again. The other thing that we're sensitive to is those citizens who are on a fixed income, those citizens who are 65 years old and above. So a 65-year-old, after they get 65-year-olds get a $75,000 exemption. So this increase equates to $49.57 for people 65 and over. There was some discussion brought up by Alderman Hoots, which is a good discussion. He represents Ward 2, which are some of the older homes in our city. Some of the lower valued homes are in Ward 2. And that was a great point that you brought up. What's the impact to them? Especially people who may be on a fixed income living in a smaller home. So the lowest valued home in Southaven for a citizen who is 65 years old or above, the impact of 3.05 mils is $19.82 a year. $19.82 a year. So I would just challenge everybody to, I understand political theologies, and ideologies when you want to say, I never was a part of a tax increase, I get all that. But let's look at this from a common sense approach as well. $19.82 for that person, the lowest valued home in Southaven who's 65 years or older. And so I just want to put that in perspective, and then let's open up the floor again. So anyone else that wants to speak, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Neighbors. I have no idea what ward I'm in, but I'm over in Dickens Place neighborhood.
B6.
That's mine.
Yeah, seen yard signs last election. So I do have a few questions for you. We heard a lot about these taxes from the accounting lady. Sounds like the city's doing pretty good with sales taxes and restaurant taxes and everything. So, how much does this add to the budget for the city?
The millage increase?
Yeah.
$2.3 million.
Okay. With that 2.3 million, you're saying the only thing that we have a possibility of cutting is either one critical service, the roads, or another critical service?
No, that's not what I'm saying. You may have missed that part. What I said earlier was that when we look at trying to move the needle to balance the budget, when you look at if you look at the summary of the presentation, there's a list of things that each department has requested. And so you look at it from a cost benefit standpoint. Like if I go cut an additional person in animal, let's just use animal control, okay? As the city has grown, we have more animals that are out on the streets. We need more And so they've been asking for years to add another person. We've said no to that. But our city has grown. So if we take that one animal control position away, that makes a difference of maybe $50,000 total cost to the city. So it really doesn't move the needle, but you've hurt that department. So what I'm talking about is not that there's two critical services. I'm saying the biggest two are the ones that move the needle the most.
And those are the only ones that would be cut from a budget that doesn't include.
That's where you move the needle the most, because those are the biggest items. Right.
So,
you could go through, just like I said, you can go through and we could say no to every other single thing. But you severely impact the services to citizens. Like, there's no vacations to Disney World in this budget, I can assure everybody. These are services to the citizens. So, like, I'm the one that gets the calls every day that, hey, we need this and this. We have 11 departments. So when you start cutting things out of each budget, you start impacting services. So that's a long way to tell you that it's not just between police and streets. I'm telling you that to balance it, those are the things that you can move the needle the quickest to do.
So with the increase in restaurant taxes and the sales taxes and everything else, we need this new tax to meet the needs of our critical services.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're saying.
Right. So our revenue, and that's why I said earlier that we've been extremely successful. We have, and we've been able to fund this for years and years. Y'all may not even know this, but there's been discussions about tax increases for multiple years in the past.
8 years now.
Yeah, and we've just said, I believe we can do. I've advocated. I said, hey, I believe we can do this without doing that, because what you just said, we've been blessed with sales tax growth, and then the future development, that generates more taxable assessed value.
Also, Mayor, the restaurant tax can't go toward our general fund. It can only be used for our parks department.
So what type of non-critical services are you cutting to tighten the belt? I mean, we've all had to tighten the belt recently.
We're not cutting. We're not.
Well, why not?
Because it takes away services to the citizens.
I'm saying non-critical services.
There are no
There are no non-critical. I mean, obviously, in any discussion.
Least critical. Least parts.
Yeah. What
So-
about neighborhood parks?
Right. I just
Why
gave
is
you an
the city-
example of that. I just gave you an example of that.
Uh-huh.
I could right now ask for a motion to take away my animal control new positions, and if the board votes
Well,
on
I think
it,
we all
can.
agree we need animal control, but maybe we don't need a new swing set at a park.
Parks are funded through.
It's funded in a different manner. It's not funded by the. This is a general fund
This
budget.
is the general fund.
The parks are funded by the tourism revenue. Which, one at a time, please. One at a time.
It was all in the same slideshow.
No.
Yeah, it's an overall. That's an overall presentation, but no, by state law, the tourism tax can only be spent on tourism or parks and recreation. It cannot be spent on any general fund. So the restaurant, like Alderman Gallagher is talking about, when you go to a restaurant, that 1% restaurant tax has to be spent on parks and recreation or tourism. It cannot go to police, cannot go to streets. So we have to comply with state laws, as we administer the budget as well.
What all's in the general fund? Well, how can we find that out?
It's put it on the screen. I mean, it's all in there. There's everything. Do we have the spreadsheet either?
Go back to it at the general fund and the tourism.
Yeah, this is all public record. Like throughout the year, not just budget time. You can look at this via our website. You can look at every budget line item in the city. You see the same thing I see.
So this parks enhancement plan is not part of the general fund?
No.
That's
It comes from the 1% tourism tax,
And
restaurant tax.
Of course, it's somewhat debatable, but a whole lot of that money comes from people outside of Southaven paying that tax.
And the reason they do that is because they feel safe here.
Well, I just want to end it with, I'm against any kind of tax increase, just because I've had my lunch eaten over the last few years. Our salary has stayed the same, and I'm getting hit from gas taxes increases with the state, federal tax. It's hitting us from all angles. just adding another tax on it. It's not a light thing to take. It's not something that people can easily do. Even what you said, something like $20. It's our money. It's our money as
So you,
people.
do you, and I'm not just going to ask you a question. Do you think that, what was the, back to my, let me get my number. It's less than 20, but. Does $19.82 a year, does that change any citizen in the city of Southaven in the way they live? $19.82 a year?
I can't answer that question. It very well may change somebody. Yes. I mean, you can't answer that, neither can I.
I can answer it. I don't think $19.82 changes anybody in this city's. I mean, we do the studies of economics in this city. You know, the lowest valued home in the city, someone that owns a home, which is one of the lower valued homes in the city, $19.82 does not impact their life. It doesn't. I know it's an ideological thing, and I get that, and I respect that. That's your
I mean,
opinion.
you mentioned, you know, how you go to the grocery store and it's more expensive now. Everything is more expensive now. We've had to tighten our belt.
Yeah.
I think the city needs to do the same.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't be tightening our belt. We're tightening your belt for you. Like, we're cutting services for you. Just like I said, and you said it. We don't need the animal control additional person. That's important. Everything, this budget is an efficient budget. I'll go line by line with anybody who wants to talk about it. It's an efficient budget. I answer the calls every day. I know the services that the citizens expect. So when you say tightening your belt, I'm not tightening my belt. I'm tightening your belt.
I've had to tighten my belt. I've
Yeah.
had to go without a lot more.
Yeah. And the other thing that's important to note is, you know, we face the effects of inflation in Southaven just like everybody else does. I don't agree with what's caused inflation. I believe it's a federal issue, and there's been some bad decisions at the federal level. But I have to administer a budget. I can't just say that I'm mad at Washington. I have to go administer this budget and deal with the real effects of inflation. But I don't agree the reason we have inflation. That's another issue. You and I probably agree on why we have it and why it shouldn't be that way. But
I just think we need to start cutting some unnecessary things before we raise. a
I'll
price
tell you
tag
one
on
thing.
people.
My email address is on the website. Anybody that's in this room, if you want to go look at comb through the budget, and you tell me which line that you want to cut, and we'll certainly consider that. I'll take that before the board before September 12, and we'll consider doing that. But tell me, it's not fair to someone who has the responsibility of administering the budget to say we shouldn't raise taxes. Tell me what you think we should cut. Tell me what we should cut. Tell me, in your opinion, what we should cut. But please do that and email me.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I'll look at that for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else like to speak? How you doing, sir?
All right, so far. My name is Mike St. John. I live on Highway 51. I'm here to address our city's code enforcement and some of the things we're doing that's got me in hardship.
Now, this is a budget. Is it related to the
Right,
budget?
This is a budget.
Okay, okay.
We're talking about a church that we're trying to condemn, or
Yeah.
have condemned, that I have to meet and do something. I had to meet with the alderman. I've called my lawyer. He has not called me back. They're telling me they're going to condemn the property.
Would you raise the mic a little bit?
We're going to condemn a property that's been in existence since 1964, and now, according to the paper that was left on the door, we're a menace to the city.
Are you talking about the former Highway Baptist Academy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Not the academy now. I said the church.
Yes, yeah. I'm familiar with the property.
All right, we're done with. We're not even discussing the school. I'm talking about the church itself. Now, here's the next thing. You got us meeting outside under an awning in the back of the church on Sundays because it's condemned. We can't go in it. And then you hang a note on the front door. 4 weeks ago, I had a bunch of men here from Knoxville working on the roof. Your code enforcement come by and talk to somebody, and it handed me a cease and desist. You can't work on it no more. And then you condemn me?
Well,
That's
now some
wrong.
of these things are. Some of these are in the court. Okay, I don't.
Right.
When something goes to the court, that's outside of my hands. But I will tell you that the reason it's gotten to this situation is the basic cutting the grass on the property, like
Sir,
that.
it was cut yesterday, and I got jumped on today when I called them up.
Yeah, but I
Call the
will
people.
tell you that I personally have driven by there numerous times. the grass is growing over the curb line, the grass is high. It's a repeat thing over and over and over. So I would just ask you,
Okay.
I would ask you to
I'm with
maintain the property, is all.
I'm with you on that. I will maintain it. But we have made Mrs. Minor so paranoid over this grass. We don't work on nothing else. We cut grass 7 days a week. Well, come on now. You want me to clean the fence? You want me to cut the grass? You want me to fix the roof? You want me to cut grass? What do we want me to do?
Well, the
And then you
ordinances.
cease and desist me.
Yeah, we have ordinances that address all of those things. So all of those things affect the property values in the city. So it's not one or the other. The ordinances all have to be complied with. We expect that from all of our citizens.
Understood that. I'm not going to raise Cain.
But I will, just like, again, this is a budget hearing, but if you will email me, I'll be glad to
I will.
answer any questions.
I
would
ask
love, and my
questions.
planning director is in the audience, she knows that I would love for somebody to sit down and, I'll meet you out there tomorrow. I would love to meet someone there and get that property in better condition, because I remember what it used to look like in 1985, and it doesn't look like that anymore, and it's depressing to me. So I would love to meet
I
with
agree
y'all on
with you.
site.
I agree. It needs help. I need help. We're a small congregation. I got a broke back now. There's two of us that can do the work.
Yeah. Well, you need some help, and maybe
I
we can
agree.
find some people to help.
And I was told the city will be glad to come in and do it. We're just adding on to your taxes. That's not what we're hunting for.
No,
Let
what
them
we
help.
did, I'm familiar, there's a long history. We have a volunteer charitable program called Serve Southaven. We reached out, Whitney, am I misunderstanding? Didn't we reach
That's
out?
correct, because my wife was the director of it.
And we were offering to bring you help, and that offer still stands. We have volunteers that will help you get that property in better condition, especially with your back like it is.
Right.
We don't want you out, I mean, we can help you do that, but y'all resisted, or someone resisted the help.
No, I'm in it now. I'm a trustee, so I'm trying to make a level playing field. You know, let's be realistic. You want it clean, I want it clean. But don't tell me to get started on something that, no, you can't do that. You can't be here. If I can't be here, I can't fix it.
Right, I get your point, but we're way down the road of that. I mean, y'all been in court numerous times about that property.
Fix and go back.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm good with forgetting the past, and let's start tomorrow. Like
That's
I said,
what I'm saying.
I'll get people to help you.
We was fined the last time we went to court, $900,000.
Yeah.
Go to pay the fine early. It's $1,600, $1,700 now, and they can't find the records of it to take the payment.
Yeah. Well, again, the court is that's not under
I
my
understand,
authority,
I
so I
understand.
can't do that. But we're short on time, but hey, let's move on. But I appreciate you
I'm
coming
sorry to take up
forward.
too much time.
And I'm sincere when I tell you, if you will email me, and Christy Faulkner, my assistant, is in the audience, if you will call the number to the mayor's office, Christy will be the one that manages that, and we'll set up a time. I would love to come out there and see something change with that property. I would love that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, thank you, sir. Good evening.
Hey, I'm not gonna argue with you like I usually do. Mary Deaton, at State Line and Get Well.
It's nice to meet you
Nice to
in
meet you.
person.
I know Joel. But I just want to tell Kristen Kelly, thank you for all the updates that he always gives us. Cause I'm on the Greenbrook page too, cause I'm part-time in Greenbrook at my daughter's. And I don't even know who my alderman is, but I know who Kristen Kelly is, cause he always gives updates. But anyway,
Where do you live?
I live, on State Line Road between Getwell and Malone. And then I stay at my daughter's in Greenbrook.
That's you're in
Part-time too?
5. You're in Ward 5.
Okay.
And Alderman Wheeler is on a barbecue relief mission to Florida to help the hurricane victims, or else he was on the phone. Are you still with us, Alderman?
Should be.
Okay, he's with us on the phone. Alderman John David Wheeler is your alderman.
Okay, but I want to say, I think the close the door is definitely working, because I work at night and I'm coming down State Line Road anywhere between 10 and 1 in the morning, and then I get back up at 4:30 and come to my daughter's in Greenbrook at 5. It's so much safer. There were mornings that and nights going home, that I prayed I got home, because the cars zooming out of Memphis, passing you on the left-hand side and trying to run you off the road and zipping back over and trying to hit you. And I haven't seen any of that. All those in the warehouses and stuff over there, they drive crazy. But since y'all have put more police on State Line Road, it's awesome, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for saying that. And our police, they understand the mission and everything we've asked them to do. They've stepped up and delivered, and they're doing the same thing with Close the Door.
Yeah, y'all just need to get back on Getwell now.
What'd you say?
Get back on Getwell Road over there by Getwell and State Line.
Are
'Cause
you
they're
are you giving us some strategic
Yes.
plans?
The
Okay.
Exxon, if they hide up there at the Exxon, they can catch them going by.
Yeah.
And would you please pave my end of State Line Road
Which
between Getwell and
yeah,
Malone?
it's on the list that we
Good.
put up.
Okay.
It is on there for 25.
Okay, good. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Kimberly Skillen. I have a property at 8181 Martha Ann Lane, and I'm also a CBD shop owner at Malco Boulevard. And I know $19 doesn't sound like a whole lot to you, but at this point in time for me, I've got a renter in that house at Martha Ann Lane. I have not raised the rent on her since 2009, and I can't because she's having trouble. If I have taxes on that, more taxes on that, it's going to kill me. If I have more taxes at my shop, even more state taxes, I'm down $1,000 last month at my shop, so I'm not bringing any money home. My husband has been battling cancer, so he doesn't have another job. So we've been living off our IRA, which is already, you know why, it's plummeting as well. I know we need the police, and I know we need the street work, but if there was any place to be cut, it would be the street work before the police, for sure. And I do know that when Thomas Tuggle comes in, things are going to get a lot better. So I'm proud of that. But like I said, it's just $19 to me right now is a killer.
$19 a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Well,
I
and
said,
I understand too. I mean, it's, you know, things add up. Like it's not, you know, when I say multifactorial, you know, you don't point to just one thing. There's a lot of challenges in our world
Yeah.
right now, and the economic condition of our country. There's so many volatile things going on. So I get that, but I hope that you'll also leave with this. Remember that we're stewards of the people's money, so we're trying to deliver the same services in the face of record inflation as well.
so the
it's,
state tax is not going to go up as well as the property tax?
which tax?
The sales tax in Mississippi.
No, we don't have anything to do with this. We don't set the sales
Okay,
tax.
good, because that's already enough in itself.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming forward. Okay, does anyone else like to speak? Anyone else in the audience want to speak?
Yeah, this is off the cuff. I don't have anything prepared. I'm Jamie Goodkind.
Nice to see you in person.
Nice to see you. I live on live over in Greenbrook. Yeah, Jerome is my representative, I guess. And you know, at the beginning of this, you put the budget out there, and you've got all these increases continually. You talked about increasing the utility increase mid-year last year, the perpetual growth that we've had over the last 10 years. And I get the impact of inflation on the city. I understand it. I sympathize with it. The city should run its government the way that we have to run our homes. We can't just tap into the unlimited resources of the people who are out there working every day. Every time property value goes up, every time inflation goes up, our taxes increase. And it may not be that you've gone out and directly raised taxes in this manner before, but as inflation, the cost of our dollar loses value, we lose that income. And I don't know, I mean, I live in the real world. Last year we had an inflation rate of, if you read the papers, it said 8%, but the real inflation rate was like 15%. In that world, that's what impacts my bottom line. And when I go out and spend money, that impacts the taxes that I have to pay even more. And it's the same way with the property values. It is death by 1,000 paper cuts. you minimize $20 here and $20 there, but it's a continual, and it's one offense against another, and against another, and the camel's back is going to break. It's insane to think that the government, like Norm said, can take a gun to your employer and say, hey, I need to add this room onto my house. I need a pay raise, you know. And going back to inflation, the annual inflation rate last year was between 8 and 15%. My employer only gave me a 1 or 2% raise, okay? So I went deficit on what I earn and the impact of my dollar. And I add to that offense, you raising taxes, and the additional taxes I have to raise or pay because of inflation. It's just one thing after another, and it's got to stop. Government needs to run the way we run our houses. If you don't have the money, you need to find places to cut, and you can spread that cut out and not be as impactful in one area. And we've just got to be responsible with it. And you can't come to us constantly and hit us for more and more and more.
Well, respectfully, again, like we said, the millage hasn't been changed since 2006. That was 18 years ago.
Property values have gone up, though, and that's influenced my taxes that I pay.
And let me ask you something.
I just got a new notice because my mortgage rate went up, or my mortgage went up because I didn't have enough money in escrow. And that wasn't even accounting this millage increase, which is going to be compounded with the reevaluation of my property values.
Let me ask you this. You addressed that you can't hold, or Mr. Aaron addressed that you can't go to your employer with a gun to his head. It is important to note that the city of Southaven has almost 500 employees. So my employees are in the same situation you are. So when we're setting a budget, I'm having to make sure that we're paying our employees fairly as well. And the same thing related to police. I'm just using police as an example because our world is so dangerous right now. But the police, for them to hire someone, they have other competing agencies that are trying to hire a limited amount of people. It's not like it was 10 years ago when more people wanted to be a police officer. So if we don't have the pay set to be competitive, we can't get the police officers. Just like I said, we could have 10 vacant positions that we never fill. So we've got to give pay raises to our employees to be able to fill the position. So we actually are doing what you said your employer's not doing. We are doing that. We're adjusting pay in order to to pay the employees a competitive rate of pay.
But you're doing it at the cost of all the citizens here. And like I said, we're not a spigot that you can wring out to get more from us. If we don't have it, we don't have it. Yeah. And government's attitude is tax us into prosperity.
Well,
we can just raise taxes and get the revenue. Yeah, we need
you're
to
comparing
do this.
like I was telling someone a few minutes ago. It's not an exact comparison when you're talking about the federal government and a municipal government. We're the ones on the ground level that are providing the services. So like I would probably, it's crazy. This may blow you away, but if you and I sit down, I invited you over to eat steak with me one night, and you still haven't come over because I want to talk politics with you. I wanted to understand you. I really want to understand you. But anyway, if you and I sit down together,
my number's out there.
If you and I sit down together,
these 3 guys over here, or 4 guys over here have
you would find out that you and I probably agree on 9 out of 10 things regarding the federal government. We probably agree on 9 out of 10. But it's different when you're at the city level. You're administering services. You're the front line out there. I can't just go on theories. Like I've got to be the guy.
See, my expectation of any government is it should run like your household does.
Yeah.
If the money's not there, it's not there.
But we balance the budget when's the last time the federal government's balanced the budget?
We're not talking about the federal
That's
government.
That's my point. We balance the budget every year, so it's not an equal comparison.
I'm talking about the city government too.
Right. It's not an equal comparison.
I'm not talking about the federal government.
Yeah. There is one thing, and I don't want to take up your time. I'm going to shut up. But I did want to point out one more thing as it relates to employees. The state of Mississippi last year passed the PERS board, the state retirement. They're passing that cost on another 5% to the city. So it's going from 17 to 22%. Not going to make a huge impact in budget FY24, but over the next 3 or 4 years, we're having to eat that cost as well.
But if it's only $20, what's it matter?
It's not only $20.
But you get my point.
Yeah. I won't debate you. I know that you don't agree with me about the way the city operates, but I do appreciate you coming forward and how much more time?
I'm good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else want to come forward with a budget hearing? Anyone else like to speak?
Mr. Mayor, do you have the exact number for the PERS?
We do. What is that number, Edie?
The increase in PERS.
It changed since they changed the number. I think we were at
It was about 300,000 for 3 months.
$90,000. It went down about 140 because they're easing into it 2% over the next 2 years. 1%.
I thought it was 2% over the next 5 years, because they
yeah.
want to get to 27%.
They've
Right
changed
now-
it since we've set this. They've changed that.
Right now, PERS, we pay 17.25% of all employees' payroll into the PERS
We're
fund.
required to.
We're
This isn't a
required to.
choice.
PERS voted about 2 weeks ago to raise it 2% every year for the next 5 years till they reach 27.25%.
And this is not the first thing that the city has eaten either. The city, the PERS has gone up previously, and the city's eaten it. Edie, do you know that number?
I think a 5% increase in PERS would be a roughly $2 million hit on the city, which is what the $3 million tax increase is. Of course, over the next 5 years, we're going to be asked to make it 10%.
Well, here's the exact numbers. Now, granted, they did adjust that, but the way that they did have it implemented, and I can tell you that number with it going up 5%, equates to $379,000 for 3 months, which would be $1.5 million for a full year. So that's,
So that's just another thing that happened with our budget. I mean, we've got a plan for another 1.5 million that's just coming out of our budget.
We'll address that later.
okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is an MOU with DeSoto County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Southaven Premier Lodging LLC.
Yes, sir. This MOU with the DeSoto County, DCCB, and Southaven Premier Lodging is the entity that will be doing the project itself at for the Embassy Suites project at the Lander Center. The board previously approved the incentives. DeSoto County has also approved their incentives along with going forward the bond, and then also the DeSoto County Civic Center Bureau has improved their incentives as well. So tonight, this agreement will just set forth the obligations of each party in context of the incentives approved, along with the obligations of the developer as well. So it has been approved by the county along with the DCCBB and the attorneys for the Premier Lodging. So tonight, I need authorization for the mayor to sign this agreement as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is an agreement with Neil Schaefer Engineering in the city of Horn Lake for Interstate Boulevard and Pepper Chase Drive corridor study.
Yes, sir. This agreement will be between the city of Horn Lake and Southaven to authorize the splitting of the engineering costs for that traffic study at Pepper Chase and Interstate Boulevard. The cost is $25,000, so it'll be $12,500 per city, split between Horn Lake and Southaven for the traffic as it relates to the widening of Pepper Chase or the extension of Pepper Chase. So I need authorization for the mayor to sign this agreement with Horn Lake and Neil Schaefer Engineering.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion?
Do you know how long this is gonna take?
The study? Dan, how long do we think it's gonna take?
To be honest, I think I got a copy of this afternoon.
I
Quickly.
think he's got a draft copy.
Are you saying it's gonna be done quick?
It should be. I think the final version is due within 10 weeks. But I think, according to the contract, they have 10 weeks to do it. But I think he has a final a preliminary draft that will be presented at the next meeting. I think. So.
Okay. Quickly. Any other discussion?
So we don't need to approve paying for it then, right? It's already,
Well, we agreed to do it with.
we haven't yet.
If you want to do that.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call on that?
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for approval of DeSoto County tax assessment rolls for the city of Southaven.
Yeah, this is just approving the assessed value of the city. It's not approving a tax, but it's just the assessed value of $749,024,310 as the assessed value by the city of Southaven as determined by the DeSoto County tax assessor. So it's just a resolution which is required by law for us to have that assessed value approved. So need authorization for the mayor to sign the resolution approving that assessed value as set forth by the DeSoto County tax assessor.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is an MOU with Baptist Memorial Hospital.
Baptist Hospital is going to be participating in the 340B under the Public Service Health Act, which basically will allow them to, they have to enter a contract with the city under that provision of the Public Health Service Act. They now allow them to provide oncology services and at the infusion center to low-income individuals who are not entitled to Medicaid or Medicare. So they're in that, gap between the two. So this will allow them to provide those services, and it's a quirk under the federal law. They have to enter into an MOU with the city that notes that they have entered into an MOU with the city, and the city has approved this program, and that we have the MOU on file. No obligations by the city other than to approve the MOU, acknowledging the existence of the program, along with the fact that Baptist will provide this program as well. So tonight we just need authorization for the mayor to sign the MOU as presented. They have made the necessary revisions that we suggested, and so just authorization for the MOU. It should be, I think, a good program for oncology services within the city.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jerome, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for liens.
Yeah, this will allow the authorization of liens placed on properties that were either cut or maintained in accordance with Mississippi Code 21-1911, and these liens will then be turned into assessments at a later date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is a resolution for a canine surplus.
This surplus will authorize this resolution will also authorize the surplus of Attila. It's a 5-year-old Dutch Shepherd dog. He's beginning to show diminished capacity due to a heart condition. So it surplus the dog to the canine to the owner, Sergeant Tom Long, who has signed the release, and it will authorize him to take possession of Attila as set forth tonight.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is acceptance of a Southaven Fire Department grant from the Mississippi Trauma Care System Foundation.
Yeah, this will allow for authorization for the fire department to accept these funds to be used for the paramedic salary costs as allowed and authorized by the Trauma Care System Foundation.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoot, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is a resolution for Stormwater Awareness Week.
This is part of your stormwater permit required under the permit we have through DEQ for declaring Stormwater Awareness Week for September 25th through 29th. Just need to have this in our minutes reflecting this resolution that authorized it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is resolution for unpaid sanitation fees.
This resolution will authorize the city to place holds on car tags until sanitation fees are collected.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is a resolution for a Southaven Police Department surplus.
This just authorizes surplus of the vehicles and equipment in accordance with Mississippi Code 172525.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is a resolution to clean private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution granting authority to clean private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Excuse me, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak regarding any of the properties? Hearing or seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. We have two items on the agenda tonight. The first one is a subdivision application for Monahan Farms Phase 1. This is going to be the big block of property you have on the northeast corner of Getwell and State Line Road. If you'll remember, a few months back, we did approve a PUD, a residential office, and some commercial uses on that property. So the first phase of this is actually ServPro's headquarters office that they would like to put on Lot 1, which is going to be north of the power lines there, kind of in that triangle up top. They did submit to us 10 lots. We had them reduce that down to the smaller lots on the north end that we knew definitively were going to go there in the road, and we asked them to leave the large blocks as just vacant parcels so we wouldn't have to further subdivide it over and over again. It was a cleaner title work for us. They did agree to that. So with that, we approved the first 4 lots with 2 common open spaces, as well as Monahan Farms Boulevard, which is the drive that goes through the center and cuts down onto State Line Road.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve item number 1 on the planning agenda. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion on item 1? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our second application is a revision to 2 sections of Old Meadow West subdivision. It's going to be off Long Street and Garden Road, 2 parcels you see highlighted there in red. There's an existing house on the south parcel, which is part of Section A. The same property owner owns the vacant parcel to the north, which is in Section C. They did request to do a mother-in-law wing, add a pool house, and they do have an existing pool, but to comply with our ordinances, you cannot put accessory uses on a lot without a primary structure on it. So the request is to take those two lots, merge them together as one larger lot, and to further do that, we had to vacate the section out of Section C and merge it into the lot of Section A. With that, they'll have to get the surrounding property owners to acknowledge it on the plat, but it was voted unanimously in favor by the Planning Commission for the amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item number 2 on the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our mayor's report. One thing we want to go ahead and get authorization. This kind of developed in the last few days regarding fire station number 5. As y'all know, we're continuing to do whatever we can to get better results. In this situation, it's become a nightmare. But hey, we're working through it. And so one of the recent things, the attorney Michael S. That assists Nick with Butler Snow, he's an expert on this type of thing. Calling bonds and helping cities navigate through that. So he's been a legal advisor for us. And so we had a recent meeting, again, just some things that just seriously still are not changing, and like the term I've used with them, when a project is behind like that one is, when I drive by there, I want it to look like a bunch of ants working. I want to see people going everywhere. Let's catch up. Let's get this fire station built. And that just simply has not happened. And so I've expressed that I'm concerned on behalf of the city that the progress is still not going where it should be. So when reaching out to the attorneys, Michael S. recommended that we hire a construction manager. Like, even though the bond company has one, he recommended that we also have one. That way we can oversee them and make sure it's done, in a satisfactory manner, and also to be a witness for us if there is litigation in the future, to go ahead and hire that person. So we have already withheld liquidated damages because this project is late, and so there's going to be damages that there's going to be money paid to us. Is it about $200,000 right now?
Roughly.
197, I think.
There's been a dispute over that.
Yeah.
Too.
So bottom line is, if we hire this person, we would use the money that we're going to get from liquidated damages to fund it. It's not like you don't have to go back into your budget to fund this. It's a $25,000 retainer fee, $330 an hour, and it's estimated by Michael S. that the total cost before litigation would be about $75,000. Then if there is lawsuits after the fact, which we expect, this person would be a key witness for us. But his recommendation is that we hire this professional service. It's Pearson Management Group. The specific person is David Pearson, who's an experienced person in doing this. But if y'all need more information, we don't have to vote on it tonight. But if y'all are comfortable with that, it's my recommendation that we do hire this person and we try to get this fire station built in a quality manner.
Would this person have any kind of managerial say over what they're doing at all?
They can call things to their attention, like the
really
insurance
just an
company.
oversight.
Well, for us.
For us.
Okay, so the insurance company hired Nicholson. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
They hired them, and that's their job, and they are out there working to oversee the general contractor. But this would be someone who oversees that on our behalf too, is out there and just helps us make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. They could come back and haunt us later with faulty construction. So and I'll go ahead and say it again, as I've stated this, I don't know how many times, I don't trust anybody out there, okay? We've already seen the poor construction. The contractor has been as poor can be. I don't trust anybody out there to look out for the best interests of the city of Southaven. So that's why I see the value in this, hiring this person for the city, is we would truly have someone who has detailed construction experience, who can be representing us and enforcing them or making sure that every little thing is pointed out to them to make sure it's built in a quality manner. Nick, you want to, is there anything I'm leaving out, or?
I think that was just that, from that standpoint, and then it potentially being an expert witness in the event of litigation. That's what it would be. But to your point, no, they wouldn't have. They can oversee. They won't. They don't have to say so. But to do.
They could just point out things that weren't built up to the code.
When they're doing something wrong, this guy can't go in and
he can point it out.
Which in turn gives our attorneys the opportunity to point and say, hey, look, this has got to, we're not happy, we're not going to accept that. You know?
It's a very contentious process right now on all ends between the bonding company, the city, the architect, and the contractor. And so it's gonna end up getting worse than it's better. And this will just provide that person provide more oversight from a third party.
and this guy's the guy that was recommended by the
Butler Snow.
Well, I'll make the motion that we hire him. Then I don't need any more.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Payne, second from Alderman Flores. Is there more discussion?
Let's get it built. Let's get it built.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get this thing built.
Is it 2 years past due?
It's just ridiculous. It's the craziest thing I've ever. I mean, it may be.
2 years past it.
Yeah. But it's going at a snail's pace. It is. We are making progress. It's just going at a snail's pace. But I believe that it will make a difference having this person. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The only other thing, and we've talked about it enough, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time other than just reiterate the fact that Operation Close the Door is underway. Our police have been nothing short of outstanding. We're already seeing results with that. We need more officers, because as our city grows, we have to meet all the needs of the city in addition to this specific operation. But we all understand the challenges that the Memphis situation creates. So Operation Close the Door is going to be critical for our future, and it's going well so far. So I thank our police for taking that initiative and implementing it and doing well with it. And that's all I have this evening. Next on the agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the personnel docket as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoop.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
A couple quick items that have come up, and I've sent an email that everybody would have them. The first item is authorization for a special event permit for the Brown Baptist Cleo Hudson 5K special event. That will be this Saturday.
So moved.
Second.
And we can, if you want to, we can do all these at one time.
That'll work.
Okay, so that's the first item. Second item is authorization to close Pepper Chase Drive between Terman and Venture during the Mid-South Fair. This will help the police with the traffic flow during the event. So that'll be set forth in a resolution that we can just, Andrew, you can put for the motion for everybody doing it that way. Third item is authorization for change order for the amphitheater for the final installation of the utilities, and not utilities, but the commissary equipment that will be complete after that final change order. And then so those are the three items that need to be voted on. And then I got only one item after that is just entering a contract into the minutes that was previously approved for the amphitheater that the mayor signed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? And just FYI for the board, on the amphitheater, these ancillary items were added. They weren't bid with the project. These are things that startup cost in year one, like cooking equipment, freezers, things like that, right, to equip the facility. Right. So that's what that's for. So what we're going to do, Edie is keeping up with it. We're going to have a separate P&L that we track the ins and outs of the amphitheater, and we'll review that throughout the year and update everybody about that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our utilities billing leak adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill leak adjustment docket as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, what's item number 70 on their air conditioner? Air conditioner leak?
That's a really good question, Charlie.
That's what it says.
Hey, Ray. We'll go ahead and pull that one.
Well, I'll amend my
70.
motion to approve the utility bill leak adjustment docket minus item number 70 until we get further clarification.
And I will second the
Okay,
amendment.
on that adjustment, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Any other discussion?
Those air conditioners don't have water going to them, do they? They shouldn't. I should know, mine didn't.
Yeah, if there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our claims docket.
Do we just have one? Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $4,083,418.50, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler. Yes. Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is litigation, discussions, economic development, and interdepartmental personnel with no action. Is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.